live in interesting times. Today's stories. From apples to almonds, India hikes tariffs on U.S. goods. France launches trial of Macron's new national service for teens. Indian doctors strike over violence from patients and families. A dad makes a tearful plea for his backpacker son missing in Australia. Canadian Foreign Minister on China-Canada's deteriorating ties. Pompeo says diplomatic efforts towards Iran are still a United States priority. Sarah Sanders says White House role was the honor of a lifetime after her exit announcement. Plus, kinetic sculpture race marks 21 years of human-powered artwork. Hello everyone, I am Jennifer Polentan, bringing you stories from around the globe, and this is Eagle News, broadcasting from our New York studio. India on Sunday imposed higher tariffs on 28 items imported from the U.S. in retaliation to Washington's recent withdrawal of trade privileges for New Delhi. The Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs said the increased duties apply to products including almonds, apples, and walnuts. It said in a notification India would implement the imposition of retaliatory duties on 28 specified goods originating in or exported from the USA. The list initially included 29 goods, but Artemia, a kind of shrimp, has been removed from the list. India is the number 2 market for California almonds and Washington apples. The trade tensions come despite efforts from Washington to boost ties with India as a counterweight to China and assertions made by both U.S. President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi about their good relationship. The stage for the row was set last year after Washington refused to exempt India from higher steel and aluminum tariffs, in keeping with Trump's decision to act against countries with which it has a large trade deficit. India responded by saying it would raise import taxes on a slew of U.S. goods. But it delayed raising tariffs several times, hoping for negotiations to tackle the sticky trade issue. However, Trump's decision this month to strip New Delhi of its preferential trade status appears to have prompted the latest Indian move. According to the new tariffs, import duty on walnuts has been hiked to 120% from 30%, and on chickpeas and lentils, it has been raised to 70% from 30% currently. The trade row is likely to be taken up when Trump and Modi meet at the G20 summit on June 28th and 29th in Osaka. It is also likely to figure during talks with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who is set to visit India later this month. According to official data, U.S. goods and services trades with India stood at an estimated $142.1 billion in 2018. The U.S. trade deficit with India was $24.2 billion. Washington is already engaged in a full-blown trade war with India's regional rival, China. Nearly 2 decades after France phased out conscription for men, some 2,000 teenagers Sunday began a trial of a new national service, a pet project of French President Emmanuel Macron. For a fortnight, the 15 and 16-year-olds will leave home for training in first aid and other basic skills, followed later by another 2 weeks of volunteering. Macron caused surprise on the campaign trail in 2017 by promising to introduce a month-long compulsory national service, saying he wanted to give girls and boys a direct experience of military life. The proposal got a cool response from the army, which balked at the prospect of having to put millions of teens through their paces, prompting the government to come back with proposals for a compulsory civic service instead. Some 2,000 youngsters were chosen out of 4,000 volunteers for the first part of the trial, which started Sunday at boarding schools, holiday villages, and university campuses around the country. Each volunteer will leave home for another region for the 2 weeks, during which time they will be required to wear Navy uniforms and sing the Marseillaise, France's national anthem, every morning. Described as an interrogation phase, the teens will be taught first aid, map reading, and other skills. A second 2-week phase, later this summer or during the coming school year, involves work on a collective project, such as volunteering with a charity or local government. Macron has billed the service as a way to develop patriotism and social cohesion in a country battling deep divisions between left and right, rich and poor, and religious and non-religious. The program, which will be written into the Constitution, will be rolled out over the next 7 years, targeting about 800,000 youngsters per year, eventually becoming compulsory. France requires all citizens to participate in a one-day defense and citizenship course when they turn 18, which includes a presentation of the country's military forces and a French language test. Macron is the first French president not to have been called up to serve, having come of age after the compulsory 10 months of military service for school-leaving men was abolished by ex-President Jacques Chirac in 1997, with the last conscripts discharged in 2001. Macron has said his aim is to give young people causes to defend and battle to fight in the social, environmental, and cultural domains.
Le souhait qu'on a eu, c'est que la cohorte de jeunes appelés de cette phase pilote soit représentative de la diversité de la jeunesse. Donc on a demandé dans chacun des départements de cartographier un peu la jeunesse de leur département, quelle est la part de jeunes en lycée général, en lycée pro, en apprentissage, les jeunes décrocheurs, et puis de sélectionner des jeunes volontaires qui représentent cette diversité. Ce qui veut dire que les départements sont allés chercher des volontaires, des jeunes qui spontanément n'avaient peut-être pas candidaté, mais ils sont allés, oui, ce qui ressort beaucoup, c'est effectivement la découverte, découvrir des jeunes qui viennent d'autres territoires, qui font autre chose, qui viennent aussi d'autres milieux sociaux, donc faire ces rencontres-là, et puis découvrir aussi un autre territoire que le sien. La plupart des jeunes qui sont là ont leur première expérience de mobilité, la première fois qu'ils prenaient le TGV et qu'ils allaient dans un autre territoire que le leur.
Parce que j'avais envie de découvrir, j'avais envie de sortir de mon quotidien, de tester de nouvelles choses. Et peut-être aussi ça pourrait m'amener à m'aider plus tard pour mon métier, je sais pas.
Tens of thousands of Indian doctors went on strike on Monday, calling for more protection against violence by patients and their families, as Parliament met for the first time since national elections. The nationwide strike, which will last until Tuesday morning, is in solidarity with doctors in the eastern state of West Bengal after 3 were viciously attacked by the relatives of a man who died. The Indian Medical Association, or IMA, representing 350,000 of India's 900,000 doctors, called for tougher punishments for those assaulting medical staff, blaming the attacks in part on high expectations by patients, poor infrastructure, and inadequate staffing. The IMA said hospitals should have more security cameras and that the entry of visitors to hospitals should be restricted. The strike, which does not include emergency services, takes place as Parliament convened for the first time since Prime Minister Narendra Modi was re-elected in a landslide last month. Doctors in West Bengal's capital of Kolkata have been on strike since last Monday, when a family assaulted 3 doctors after a relative died during treatment at a state-run hospital.
And emergency services has to be supported. They have to give all support to the doctors and the healthcare workers and not resort to violence when things do not work out as they want it to be.
The family, who blamed the death on negligence by the doctors, lashed out violently and left 2 of the medical staff critically injured. The strike in West Bengal, which has also been racked by weeks of political violence, with almost 20 people killed, has crippled medical services for the state's 90 million people. On Monday, doctors in the state were due to discuss the strike with Mamata Banjuri, the state premier and fierce Modi opponent. India spends less than 2% of its GDP on healthcare, making it one of the lowest investors in the sector globally, with the World Health Organization placing it below both Iraq and Venezuela. However, Modicare, a quietly successful part of Modi's surprising re-election, is a huge public health initiative set to benefit the poorest.
So I'm very much disturbed. I'm from Bengal and this incident has happened in Bengal. The way the junior doctors have taken up the issue, hats off to them. Though the Chief Minister has not taken it very seriously, had she taken it on the first day, it would not have snowballed into such a situation.
ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿನಿ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ತುಂಬ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳಿದ್ದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು, ತುಂಬ ದೂರದಿಂದ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು. ಈಗ ಬಂದರೆ ಇವರು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಜಾಪುರ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮದೊಳಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಪಶ್ಚಿಮ ಬೆಂಗಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮದು ಧರ್ಮದ ದೇಶಪ್ಪ ಅನ್ನಪೂರ್ಣ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವ್ರು ಹೊಡೆದಾರ. ಯಾಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕರಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ತೊಂದರೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಪ್ಪ?
The father of an 18-year-old Belgian backpacker made a heart-rending appeal to help finding his son on Monday, as Australian police admitted they were baffled by his disappearance from a picturesque surf town. Theo Hayez was last seen on May 31st at a hotel in Byron Bay, some 470 miles north of Sydney. New South Wales police were alerted to his disappearance on June 6th after he failed to return to the hostel where he was staying and have scoured bushland and off the coast to no avail.
I promise Theo's little brother, Lucas, that I would bring his brother home. Please, help me keep my promise to him.
Meanwhile, Police Superintendent David Ropel announced the release of footage of the teenager at a store on May 31st in the hope it would jolt people's memories.
Hopefully, if people were in the area at that time, that they may have recognised or have some information that is leading to the disappearance of Theo Hayes. Because I'll say it again, we are baffled. We are baffled because that is all we have. We really want to get to the bottom of this. That's why we are putting so many resources into this. So if anyone with any bit of information, please contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000, and that would be, and you can do that anonymously as well.
Ropel said it was out of character for Hayez to be missing, and he had been due to return home after visiting Byron Bay. Hayez is believed to have used the messaging app WhatsApp the night he disappeared, and his father, who has traveled to the town to meet police, called for his account to be shared with investigators.
We understand the politics about confidentiality and respect that. However, this is a question of providing assistance to a person in grave danger. It is vital that investigators get access to Theo's WhatsApp account without delay. Every minute counts.
Hayez's passport and personal belongings were all left at the hostel, and the police believe he has not made any financial transactions since his disappearance. Coming up, Canadian Foreign Minister on China-Canada deteriorating ties. Pompeo says diplomatic efforts towards Iran are still a United States priority. Sarah Sanders says White House role was the honor of a lifetime after her exit announcement. Eagle News will be right back. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News. Canadian Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland says during a press conference at the Canadian Embassy in Washington, D.C., that it would be a very dangerous precedent for Canada to alter its behavior regarding Huawei Chief Financial Officer Meng Wanzhou, who is now in Vancouver on bail, awaiting an extradition hearing. She also condemns the arbitrary detentions of 2 Canadians by China.
When it comes to Ms. Meng, there has been no political interference. This has been entirely about officials taking decisions according to Canada's commitments, and that is the right way for extradition requests to proceed. Ms. Meng and her lawyers will have a chance to make their case, and I have complete confidence that the courts will make a right and fair decision. it would be a very dangerous precedent indeed for Canada to alter its behavior when it comes to honoring an extradition treaty in response to external pressure. These arbitrary detentions of Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor are a grave concern to Canada, and that has made our relations with China today difficult. Having said that, this is a relationship which is deep. It is a relationship of long standing. It is a relationship on many different levels. Our government, and for American colleagues, let me remind you, we have a majority in Parliament, has a clear and very confident intention to move ahead with NAFTA ratification. This is a good deal for Canada, and we will get it done. We will get it ratified. Our intention, insofar as possible, is to move in tandem with the U.S. legislative process.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says that economic and diplomatic efforts to bring Iran back to the negotiating table at the right time is still the United States' priority, during a statement about the attacks on 2 tanks in the Gulf of Oman, which the United States attributed to Iran.
Our policy remains an economic and diplomatic effort to bring Iran back to the negotiating table at the right time, to encourage a comprehensive deal that addresses the broad range of threats.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused Iran of being behind attacks on 2 tankers in the Gulf of Oman Thursday, and then said it was taking the case to the UN Security Council. Pompeo said Iran promised on April 22nd to disrupt oil shipping from the Strait of Hormuz. He said the attacks Thursday, which left 2 tankers in flames off Iran's south coast, were part of a series of attacks instigated by Tehran and its surrogates. He said Iran is lashing out because of the impact of U.S. and international sanctions, but said it had no right to attack innocent civilians and engage in nuclear blackmail. Pompeo said he had ordered the U.S. envoy to the United Nations, Jonathan Cohen, to raise the alleged attacks in the UN Security Council meeting Thursday afternoon.
Iran is lashing out because the regime wants our successful maximum pressure campaign lifted. No economic sanctions entitle the Islamic Republic to attack innocent civilians, disrupt global oil markets, and engage in nuclear blackmail. Taken as a whole, these unprovoked attacks present a clear threat to international peace and security, a blatant assault on the freedom of navigation, and an unacceptable campaign of escalating tension by Iran. The United States will defend its forces, interests, and stand with our partners and allies to safeguard global commerce and regional stability.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump on Thursday said it is too early to even consider entering negotiations with Iran. Trump said that he appreciated the mediating mission to Tehran on Thursday by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, which was met with a sharp rebuff by Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Nevertheless, Trump said, quote, "I personally feel that it is too soon to even think about making a deal. They are not ready, and neither are we," unquote. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders says working under Donald Trump has been the honor of a lifetime after her departure was announced by the U.S. president, first in a tweet and then ahead of making White House on second chance hiring.
I'll try not to get emotional because I know that crying can make us look weak sometimes, right? This has been the honor of a lifetime, the opportunity of a lifetime. I couldn't be prouder to have had the opportunity to serve my country and particularly to work for this president.
When we come back, Kinetic Sculpture Race marks 21 years of human-powered artwork. Eagle News will return shortly. This is Eagle News, and I am Jennifer Polintan. What is a kinetic sculpture race? What are connectonauts? By the sound of it, I can imagine it involves some serious, super high technology work. But is that really the case? Let's find out more from Eagle News correspondent Rose Papaangelis what the fuss is all about.
armored vehicles, all human-powered. Rain or shine, the fearless artists, engineer pilots, or kinetronauts will trek the streets of Baltimore, Maryland, dipping into the waters of the harbor, drilling through sand and mud, and speeding the highway to finish this 14-mile race called the Kinetic Sculpture Race. So imagine a bicycle, and then imagine a giant sculpture on top of it. Then races through the city of Baltimore, 15 miles. It must float over our inner harbor. In other words, it must be amphibious, exit the water, then through hill and dale, a mud pit and a sand pit before crossing the finish line here. So that's our kinetic sculpture race, which we've been doing for 21 years here in Baltimore from the American Visionary Art Museum. How long did it take you to build it?
Definitely, I was estimating the time I put into it. I would say it took us over 3 months, and part of that was conceptualizing, but we also were very down to the wire on our, we're not here to win, we're just here to have fun.
For us, this is just the most wonderful celebration of human diversity and human creativity, and we make sure we make it every year. We just love it.
Ours is the Shark Tank, so we built it 12 years ago. It's powered by 8 people and driven by 1, and it's built from an old Suzuki Samurai, 1987 Suzuki Samurai. Transmission, drivetrain.
And how long did it take you to build it?
Too long. It was probably a 4-month build 12 years ago. It's gonna be a win.
Excellent.
We're going for mediocrity.
One of these 25 sculptures will receive the much coveted ACE Award, the highest race challenge award, wherein a merciless ACE judge will watch their very move, and of course a chance to represent the East Coast in a 3-day all-terrain kinetic grand championship in California. But whether they receive an award or not, the kinetronauts, as well as the spectators, come back every year, bigger, stronger, or even wackier, all for the sake of fun and kinetic engineering. From the 21st Kinetic Sculpture Race by the American Visionary Art Museum in Baltimore, Maryland, I am Rose Papa Angeles, and I am 1 with 25.
Thanks, Rose. That is today's Eagle News. Join us tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenewsph. Thank you for watching. I am Jennifer Polentan, and I am 1 with 25.